Hey, how's it going, guys? In this video, I'm going to be going over my recommended study routine to pass WGU courses and CompTIA courses quickly. You can also use this for just like general exams that are like course related, like in college or something. So I went through all, when I was going through CompTIA 1201, I went through all the course material like normal, like watching all Professor Messer's videos and all his study notes, and then going through the PBQ, and it just took a long time to get through all the material. And I didn't really even learn anything until I started doing the practice exams and simulation loop near the end. Like I did the, I went through the long way and then did the exam and failed, and then I focused on doing the practice exams and simulations loop, and that's when things started like I started learning things more deeply. Um, so I basically use this my study philosophy, which is like basically just study the exam questions instead of going through reading material, which takes a while. I use this study method to get through WGU's IT management degree, to pass CompTIA 1201, and I'm about halfway through WGU's cybersecurity program, and I'm going to basically just keep doing this until I finish WGU's program. So to do this study routine, you need Chatgpt or Claude AI subscription to create the exams and Quizlets. And you also need Quizlet Plus Unlimited subscription to use unlimited learn mode and creating Quizlets itself. Um, so for the CompTIA uh, specifically, you need CertMaster's Learn, CertMaster's Perform, and the Dion Exams, which you get all these if you're a WGU student. If you're not a WGU student, then this stuff costs quite a bit of money, so that's one thing. Um, so for a cert, when you first start a CompTIA course, you want to use CertMaster Perform, and you want to complete all the simulations slash PBQs once. You want to skip through all the material, reading material, because that takes a long time to get through. But for each simulation, you want to watch the walkthrough first before attempting it, and then do the actual simulation yourself. You want to do all the simulations once, and then once you've gone through all the simulations once, you want to use Claude or ChatGPT you want to list, you want to copy all of the lists, and ask it to create a list of the most important high tier, medium tier, low tier of all the simulations that would be on the exam. So you basically have a list of most important and like least important exams, and then you want to move on to the Dion exams and the CertMaster's Learn exam. CertMaster's Learn only has one exam, but the Dion exam has three exams. But you want to treat both as like one pool to study from. And the goal is to hit each at 90%. So the first time you do the exam, you want to copy all four possible answers and get a definition for each. And then, so the first time you're going through the exam, you want to copy all four possible answers, so that when you're going through it later, you just understand the general concepts of what's going on. And then as you're going through the exam and you're repeating the exam, if you're just not getting a specific question, you want to copy all four definitions and the question itself, and then you want to ask Claude or ChatGPT to create a mini exam of everything that's based on that concept. So you're basically just doing like a mini exam of that concept by itself, of all the four possible questions, and then um, all the questions based on that concept, so you can just study it until you understand it. Um, so you're going to go through but you only do this after you do that after you've been through the exam multiple times. You're just not getting that specific question. So you basically get definitions for each answer as you're going through it the first time, and then when you get an image question, you want to screen capture it and get a definition of that image so you understand what the question itself is asking. So you copy the question and the image, and you get the definition for it, and then if there's more images, like if each question has an image, and you screen capture each image and get a definition for it, so you just understand all of the possible images, and then you move on to the next question, and then after you finish the entire exam of like um, getting all the definitions and then definitions of the images. You do this one time, um, and then you copy all of the once you copy all the questions you get wrong, and then you create a Quizlet of all the wrong questions, and then you do the a full practice exam of all the questions you got wrong 3 times minimum, and then you just keep doing it until you can get at least 90% to 100% of all the questions you get wrong, and then you go back to the full exam. You do the full exam all over again, and then if you're not scoring 90%, you just create another Quizlet of the full of all the questions you get wrong, and do the same thing. You do it three times of all the questions you get wrong, and then if you need more than 3 times, you just keep doing it until you're scoring 90 to 100%, and then you do the full exam again. And then if you're not understanding one specific question, you copy all the 4 possible questions, I mean answers in that question and the question itself, and you ask Chatgpt or Claude AI to make a mini Quizlet exam of all the concepts, basically based on that question, and then all the concepts on the 4 questions itself, and you do that as a mini Quizlet, and then you go back and do the um, either the full questions that you've gotten wrong if you haven't done that yet, and then you do the full exam. Basically, you just do this over and over and over until you're 90%. Once you get 90% on the Dion exam, you move on to the next Dion exam, and you repeat the cycle of um, all the questions you get wrong. You repeat that, and if you don't understand a specific question and you're struggling with it, then you create a mini Quizlet of that concept of that question, and then all the 4 possible answers of that are on the answers for that question. So it's like a mini Quizlet of the question itself, all the concepts of it, and then the concepts of all the possible answers. And then you just repeat this of the Dion exam and the wrong answers until you go through all the Dion exams once and the CertMaster's Learn Quizlet once. And then once you score 90% of all of those, you start a cycle of you doing one exam fully. And if you don't score 90%, you create a Quizlet of all the wrong questions. You do the wrong questions again. And then you just do the Dion exam until you're scoring 90%. And then once you score 90%, you do 3 to 5 simulations of the most important and high tier PBQs. So you go through that 3 to 5, and then you go on to the next exam, Dion exam. And you just do the cycle of doing the full exam, doing all the wrong questions, doing all the questions you get wrong, and then doing a 3 to 5 simulations. And you just do this until you're going through the entire cycle, until you're scoring consistently 90% of all the Dion exams and a CertMaster's Learn exam at 90%, and you've gone through the PBQs and simulations enough times that you're confident in all the simulations, and then you request a CompTIA exam time, and then you just once you have your scheduled date, then you just repeat the cycle of PBQs and simulate Dion exams and CertMaster's Learn exams over and over and over until your date, and then you do the actual exam, and then you pass the exam, because that's how I passed the CompTIA exam. Now for a, let's see if I missed anything here. Just 1 second. Okay, no, I didn't miss anything. Now for a WGU or generic class, if you're doing just like a college class, for WGU, let's see, for a generic class, you basically go to the course material here. You go to click the course material, and you get the course material, and you want to go to each page that has a Quizlet on it, and you do copy Control A, then Control C, and you go to each page as a Quizlet, and you post all of the full page. Oh, let me do this. Control A, Control C, and then you do Control V. You basically copy each page that has a Quizlet on it, and you do this. Go through all the course material, copy each page that has a Quizlet on it, post it into a document, and then you ask Claude or ChatGPT to create. Oh, first you go to, sorry, um, you go to, let's see. All right, this one doesn't have a practice exam. So you basically want to go to a class that has a practice pre-assessment. So let's see, for this course, first you want to go to the pre-assessment. Sorry, you want to just skip through. You want to do the pre-assessment, go through all the, just skip through the questions, get them all wrong or whatever, and then you want to see how WGU weighs each course. So basically, get all the Quizlets, all the course material, make a document, and then you ask Chatgpt or Claude AI to make a 2 to 3 practice exams using all the Quizlets, and then ask it to weigh it to the same way that WGU weighs it. So you ask it to weigh it the same way how WGU weighs it. 2 to 3 exams, and you want to ask it to weigh it by 70% scenario questions and 30% definitions when you do this. So you put the document of all the Quizlets. You ask it to weigh it how the WGU weighs it, and then you weigh it 70% scenario, 30% definitions, and then you make 2 to 3 practice exams. If there's not enough Quizlets to make 2 to 3 practice exams, then you just copy and paste all the material from all the courses, from the entire course, into the document, pretty much. And then you do this. You just ask it to do the same thing. If there's not enough Quizlets to make 2 to 3, but there should be. But sometimes I don't think there's enough. But if there's not enough to make it 2 to 3 exams, then you just copy all the course material by doing Control A, Control C, and then pasting it into a document. Make 2 to 3 exams. Or if you don't want to do the copy pasting, you just download each page individually, which takes a long time. Same thing, posted in here, 2 to 3 exams. Weigh how WGU weighs it, and then 70% scenarios, 30% definitions. You want to create 2 to 3 exams. And then once you create 2 to 3 exams, um, then you do the cycle of 90%. Just, oh, actually, sorry, for one thing. Also, some classes have Zybook. Let's see here. If a course is Zybook like this, if you go to the course material, if it's a Zybook one, then you can either do, let's see, once it loads up. If it's a Zybook, then you can do download the entire PDF, download each section as a PDF, put it, um, download all the PDF of each section, go to Claude, ask it to make 2 to 3 exams of all the information, 70% uh, scenario, 30% definitions, weighing it how the WGU weighs it. Or you can do the Control C, go through each course, each page, and if it's a Quizlet on that page, you can do Control C, Control V to a document, and then you upload it to Quizlet. So those are the 3 ways to do it, basically. Either Control C, Control V each page over each page that has a Quizlet, or you can do Control C, Control V of each page of the full course material, or you can just download the course material by just doing copy PDF. Or if it's a Zybook, you can just download the full document by doing the PDF format, or you can do Control C, Control V of all the Quizlets. So you basically just want to get all the material that you need to make 2 to 3 practice exams. And then once you have all the courses you made, you make the 2 to 3 practice exams, and then you build Quizlets specifically from the course material PDFs. And then you just basically do the same loop that you did for the CompTIA. Um, score 90% on each question. If you're not, you do the full exam until you score 90%, and then for each question you get wrong, you make a Quizlet of all the questions you've got wrong specifically, and then you score 90%, and then you move on to the next practice exam, and you just go through all the practice exams until you're scoring 90%. Um, and if a question specifically has an image, then you basically just screen capture the image, get a definition, and then if it's 4 images, you get the definitions of all the 4 images, and you post that into like the Quizlet. So basically, if it's image, you need an image for it, then you just screen capture and then you put it in the Quizlet. Um, so basically, yeah, that's how you do the Quizlet for the WGU class or just a generic class in general. Now, so you're basically for the CompTIA exams and um, WG exams, you're basically just doing active recall by using learn mode, and it's not passive. When I went through the entire course material, it took a long time, and it's passive. You're not really learning anything, which is why I recommend just basically doing like a study exam specifically, and that which is active recall. Um, on pre-made exams, like if it's a CompTIA, um, you copy all four answers and then get a definitions for each answers. So that's how you can study it with the CompTIA exam. And if you do the pre-exam on WGA itself, you can also do that same method of getting screen capture the four questions, put it into Quizlet or Claude AI, and you can get the definitions for all four possible answers. And you're doing a WGA pre-exam, like on this. Like if you're doing this, if you can go to this when you're doing your cycle of pre-exams, you do the pre-assessment exam, and then you can screen capture the four definitions, and then you can or copy and paste it. I don't think you can copy and paste from WGA pre-exam, but you screen capture it, put it in the Claude AI, and you get the four definitions but you can only do that for the WGA pre-exam itself because when you create your own Quizlet, it's like the Quizlets when you make the four possible answers, it won't be sometimes it won't be related exactly to that question. Um, so basically, yeah, with you're doing AI generated exams for the WGU, um, you can't use the distract like the all four possible answers. Um, so basically, but you still go through the pre all the practice exams, the cycle into your 90%. Um, and then you basically use the questions itself to drive what you study. Not just studying the generic all the question like all the material, which takes a while. And you're not really learning anything because it's passive. And then for both, you're just doing 9% mastery. So once you're scoring 90% on the practice exams that you created for the WGU, and 90% for the actual pre-exams from Dion, then you can take the actual WGU or CompTIA exam itself. Um, Now for exam day, there's nothing special. You just get enough sleep and eat. You continue the exam or the simulation cycle or just the exam cycle itself for WGU. Um, I usually recommend putting the exam in the afternoon so you don't oversleep if you're staying up late, which I sometimes stay up late. You just continue the cycle of practice exams and labs right until you start the exam, and then when you're doing the exam itself, if it's a PBQ and you're stuck on it and it's taking you a long time, I would just recommend just flagging it and then skipping it and then coming back to it once you've done all the questions you can do, and just go back to them because sometimes the PPQs just take a while, and if you're not understanding it, then you just got to move on, or a question, move on, come back to it, and then if you can't figure it out, just guess it. Um, yeah. So that's the entire study plan. I'm gonna post this cycle because sometimes I'm talking to you and it's kind of hard. Might maybe not understand what I'm saying or probably not explain it correctly. You can just look at it in the YouTube description of everything here that I'm doing to like pass exams online. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry if I explained it and it's hard to understand. So I'll put it in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.